which I'm not sure that we are. Welcome to the stream, and yes, we're here and we're going to talk about all the gear, toys, and tech of 2020, the stuff that went right and wrong. We've got our buddy Jake Sloan here, who's a professional when it comes to video, drones, photography up in Alaska. And we're going to talk about all the awesome stuff that happened and what we want to see out of 2021. Welcome to the stream, guys, and please let me know what's going on in the comments here, if everything's good, the audio, the video, because we've had literally nothing but issues from the start of this, which was about 3-4 hours ago now.
Yeah. It's been a while. Yeah. I think we started, didn't we start troubleshooting at
3 o'clock?
Yeah.
It's now almost 7:30, but Happy New Year's, guys. Welcome to the stream. Hope you can join us, and hopefully we've got some decent streaming going on here. Apparently it looks as though YouTube's not doing great today in terms of buffering and live stuff, so it is what it is. But yeah, I guess let's just dive in and continue our conversations about some of the awesome stuff that happened, because despite being a pretty ridiculous and horrific year for the planet, in terms of tech and gear and stuff, I think it was actually pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was a great year for camera releases.
Right? You got your hands on the A7S3, which is obviously an absolute beast of a camera. I didn't pull the trigger on that. I'm waiting for the A7 IV, because at this point, as a hybrid shooter, the A7 III is doing me just fine. I did check out the A7C, as you did, and that's going to be a pass for me. But yeah, you know, I think everybody, all these companies that were emerging, and, you know, a ton of, if you're a Sony shooter, it's been a fantastic year in terms of, you know, third-party stuff. Even Sony releases, you really can't complain. So what's your favorite, what's your go-to stuff that you loved out of this year?
Oh man, by far my favorite thing has been the A7S III. It is such a fantastic camera. I mean, it's an unbelievable video camera, but it's a lot of fun to shoot stills with too, even though they're only 12 megapixels. They're just really, really good, really clean. I've done a lot of astrophotography with it since it's dark most of the time up here right now in the winter. And the images that come out of it are just such clean, such great looking images. It's just a beast. It is. And I don't encourage people to go out and get new gear all the time, which sounds kind of stupid because I review a lot of gear. But, you know, I think people should, before they go to upgrade gear, I feel like people should bump the limits of their gear, where they start realizing that the gear is actually what's kind of making it not possible for them to do what they want to do before they upgrade. Because then when you jump into something that's better, you really know it, and you really notice it. And that was for me with the A7S III, like jumping. I mean, the A7 III it's a great camera. That's what's this angle here is the A7 III, and I still use it every day. But for the video side of it, it was like, oh wow, this is just really nice and easy to work with. So I think that has been my favorite release of the year, has been the A7S III. It's fantastic.
And I think it's a game changer for a lot of people, getting a lot of people into film, getting a lot of people out there and just creating. And yeah, for a lot of people who are concentrating just on video, the photography aspect is going to be ideal. Maybe not if you're printing and doing huge aspects like that, but, you know, as far as social media and stuff goes, the low light performance is amazing, and like it's just insane. It's an expensive camera, mind you, but, you know, I have been kind of thinking about selling a lens or two and picking it up myself, I gotta say. But yeah, I can't wait to see what we get this year. There's some big megapixel cameras in the talks. We've got the rumors of the A9 III kind of thing, which is going to compete directly with the R5. What have you heard about that?
I mean, the rumors are it's going to have 8K or some sort of 8K on it, which means it's going to have to be 40 megapixels or higher, right? to get 8K? Doesn't that have to be around 50 megapixels to be able to do 8K? And what else have I heard about it?
That's a good question.
I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a beast of a camera, which will be, I think the thing that Sony has going for it is they've figured out how to manage the heat in small mirrorless bodies, where I think Canon's still trying to figure that out, because with the A7S III, the way they manage heat is killer. And so I think if they're applying that same technology, whatever's in the A7S III, to the A9, they'll be able to do 8K video and not have as many issues as Canon has.
Yeah, and a lot of people, the argument is, I don't need 8K. I can't edit 8K. 8K is ridiculous at this point. And I agree to some extent, but let's not forget about the stabilization. And that is kind of, I think, where a lot of these anything that's taken imaging, especially when it comes to video, these 360 cameras and stuff, it's hard to find the balance, but you can use like active image stabilization and stuff and get just mind-blowing stabilization. Like, it's insane what you can do. Like this Insta360 X2, which we're going to talk about because we both have reviewed it. I just got my hands on it. It's so much fun. This little guy, if you don't know what it is, it's a little 360 camera that fits in your pocket, and you can throw it over your shoulder. You basically shoot now and edit later. It's recording in 360 all the time. It records up to 5.7K, and it's just, I'm going to show you some footage in a bit here. It's so much fun. But the stabilization on it is insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I think for people that are saying 8K is ridiculous, you might not be doing a 30-minute interview in 8K, and that's not really expected. But the stabilization is going to be a huge factor for that avenue, I think. And it's going to be interesting because the R5 was disregarded by a lot of people, I think, just because of that heating issue. But that thing is amazing. That camera is phenomenal. And, I think out of the gate, the marketing and whatnot, they botched that so badly. But in terms of, flagship cameras, they're winning. Like, that thing is insane. And I would love to...
Yeah, I mean, the R5 is, there's no doubt, that thing is a beast of a photography camera, especially. And it has great video specs, too. Everybody got hung up on the 8K and the overheating thing, but it's an incredible camera. And what Canon's doing with their RF line of glass is just... That glass is stellar. I can't wait to see what they do with it down the road, because it's really incredible stuff.
It is. It's expensive. It's extraordinarily expensive. But and you know what? They keep surprising me with their releases, which is fantastic. It's kind of like, the E-mount Sony full frame. For a while there was just such limited amounts of good glass, and now it's like we're overwhelmed with it. We've got so many good third party things. Tamron, this was Tamron's year. 2020 for Tamron was insane. Like, the way that they're engineering macro light capabilities, the 2.8 in, the 28 to 200, perfect example. That lens is so incredibly versatile. It's a 2.8, you can do some filming. It's relatively wide, but it's also, a near macro lens. So it's incredible what they're doing. All these things, even their little prime lenses, the 2.8, they're not the fastest, but they're like $300 or $200 even. And they're so sharp, like insanely sharp. So definitely worth a look at those that Tamron gear. Sigma, they did a pretty good job. The 24 to 70 that everybody was kind of waiting for. Great lens. With a couple little issues here, and dust mainly is my biggest gripe with this thing. But everybody has just come out of the woodwork here, and we were kind of spoiled. And like I said, despite all the garbage that was really going on, like September, October, November, we got some pretty insane releases. So
yeah.
What do you find yourself shooting with these days? I know you're huge into drones. You're one of the go-to drone guys on here. What are you droning with?
I mean, right now it's kind of crazy, but my favorite drone is the Mini 2, because it's so small, so compact, but it actually has pretty decent image quality. I mean, it's limited because it's a small sensor and stuff, but it does, for the size and for the price, it does a great job of capturing good video and good photos from the air. And the fact that it's it's the same size as this lens when it's all folded up. It's tiny. So yeah, that's been kind of my go-to drone for the last few months since it came out, which is ridiculous because I have much bigger, much more expensive drones. But just the fact that it's so convenient, it only takes up the space of a lens in my bag, and it doesn't add a lot of weight. It makes it what I end up going to. So I've been shooting with that a lot for drones. And then yeah, you were talking about the Tamron 20-200. That lens, I think it was one of my favorite lenses to shoot with this year when I had the sample. It's so versatile, and the image quality out of it for what was it, $550
Something like
US?
that.
The image quality out of it was really good. I mean, just astoundingly good. And yeah, I think that was one of my favorite lens. My favorite lens releases. I was kind of mad because I had just bought the 70 to 180. It was like, I need a telephoto lens, and then a few months later that one came out, and I was like, oh, dang it! If I hadn't bought the 70 to 180, I would have just jumped on the Tamron because the low light is better on this 70 to 180 because it's f2.8 all the way through. But that 28 to 200 it's a great lens for the price. Tamron has been killing it this year, and I think they're going to keep killing it. I've got a sample for the lens they're releasing soon for APS-C, and it's going to be a great lens for APS-C. It's going to be killer.
Which is great to see finally. APS-C. There's a lot of APS-C shooters, and being a full frame shooter, I forget. I came from APS-C. It's a great system, and especially for Sony, there's a huge market that could be filled, I think. And, people like Viltrox is one. They're kind of stepping up now. But this Tamron release, this 17 to 70, is going to be a beast. Anybody still shooting APS-C that's going to be there for a couple of years, like, this is going to be the lens to get. And this is going to be pretty much the 24 to 105 image stabilized equivalent. And, like I said, I haven't got my hands on it, but Jake is saying good things, and I can't wait to test it out. So as long as it holds up optically, not all these APS-C bodies have image stabilization, so this is a total game changer. And for what is it, $799?
I think I think it's $799 when it comes on. Whenever it actually starts coming on sale, I think it's gonna be $799. And considering that the comparison lens is the Sony G lens 16 to 55, which I think that's $1,300.
It's insane.
Or, $1,299.
Yeah. And not image stabilized, super sharp, but really expensive for what it is.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Like, if you want the absolute best image quality, I think you're gonna want the Sony G, the 16 to 55, because it is better in the image quality standpoint. But the lens, the Tamron 17 to 70, the image quality is really, really close. 90-95% probably in most of it range, and then you get that extra bump for a little bit more reach. But yeah, having the image stabilization on it is killer, because I've been shooting on it with the A6400, and being able to hand hold at a full zoom out and get usable images is really incredible.
And the warranty, that's another thing that people forget, or they might not take into consideration. Tamron's warranty is insane. Customer service, again, is kind of hit or miss for me. I found I didn't have the best experience with my old trusty 28 to 75 this last couple months, but you have it if you need it, and you might need it. That's the thing with Sony lenses. They do cost a little bit more, but in my experience, anyways, I've been really lucky with Sony stuff, and if you take care of it, it lasts, and it's worth every penny as far as I'm concerned. So
yeah, I
got to agree with you with the Mavic Mini 2. In Canada especially, we got really, really harsh laws, and honestly, I for what I do, I won't even consider something under 250 grams. It just doesn't make sense for me. So when that thing was announced with the new range, the range is fantastic, like rock solid. I've got some footage I'll show you in a couple minutes. Some pretty cool stuff, and you just go out there, and it's just such a confident little drone. It's not perfect, dynamic range and stuff, but for what we do for creators, on YouTube, for family stuff, if you're just getting going, like you cannot go wrong. That thing's amazing. So I've been super happy with it. I'll show you some right now, in fact. Why not? I put together a little thing of some of the stuff that we're talking about here. The Insta360, I think, let's go back to that, because like I said, I literally just got this thing. I've used it for about a day and a half. It's been pouring here for like a month, so I haven't been able to get any good light footage. There's some good things with it and some not so good things with it. But what you can do, the shots you can get if you've never used a 360 camera, and this is my first one, this is the camera that I kind of needed to get out of the funk, to get creative again, and just to get excited to get outside, even if it's raining. I'll show you what I came up with. And just like, and I'm talking like I went to the mall, and we're talking 30 minutes of walking around. Let's see if I can find it here. And is it an A cam? Absolutely not. It's not going to be it's not going to replace anything, but it's going to be a great addition to your other cameras. And it's not cheap. I'll give it that too. It's an expensive camera, but for what 360 cameras offer, it's a totally different ballgame now. Like, I feel like I'm able to just, I can't wait. I can't wait to get out there and create this year and get some totally different perspectives here. So let's throw this on here. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is just walking through the mall. I got this thing over my shoulder, and I've actually turned on tracking here. It's got something called Deep Track, which is, it tracks you really, really well. And this is the stabilization we're talking about. So you shoot, and it records in 360, and this is me just kind of messing with in post, just afterwards, checking out the different angles that you can get, which is like super cool. And again, the sensor is a pretty small, so you can see artifacts and stuff. It's not going to be the greatest stuff. Here's me just walking through an arcade with the little tiny planet stuff. Like, how cool is that? And I gotta say, this is definitely new to me. And I know, whoa. So there's something that we used. You set up, and it's got lots of AI editing. And this is about 2 minutes of going through and recording yourself, and it stitches this together. Like, how cool is that? It's a lot longer than I remember it being. Here's another one. This is in Bass Pro. You always got the big scenes up there. Like, how cool is that to get in there and throw this thing above your head and just get a perspective that you could never ever get with anything, and just throw it in as B-roll or whatever. That's amazing to me. I find that stuff so cool, and to know that I really wasn't up to speed in any of this like 360 stuff. I'm kind of blown away. You can live stream with it. You can shoot now. Edit later is just a pretty cool way to look at things. So there's that. What do you find yourself using that thing for? Are you faking drone shots with it and stuff?
I have a couple of times. I mean, for me, that has become like my GoPro, which I use for, like, I don't use it for B-roll for videos I put on YouTube or stuff, but I do use it for B-roll for things that I put other places, like with Instagram or Facebook, or just the kind of the other things, because it's a camera you don't. The weird thing and the hardest thing for me about starting to use 360 cameras was going, okay, I don't have to worry about framing, and it makes no sense that I don't, but I just let it do its thing and then go back after the fact and like you said, use the tracking feature, which is amazing, and have it automatically frame stuff for me, or tweak it on my own. And I mean, I went climbing a mountain yesterday, and I stuck it in my backpack on the pole going up, and the insanely good stabilization that comes out of that camera when you're it's just on a pole on your backpack, it's kind of mind-blowing. I don't know how they've done such a good job with it, but it is really good.
And just the different, the shot lab, they call it, where you can go and edit things for social media in like a couple clicks is mind-blowing. Like, it makes me excited for the future with this type of thing. So if you're like a social media guy, if you're on TikTok and stuff, like that camera really makes it easy. So I cannot wait to see some of your Alaska footage with that, because it's just, and being a creator and making film in video and stuff, engaging content, you you need to keep people's attention. You know, for a perfect example, your awesome new slider there. You know, just the change in you know, boom. You know, it just keeps you engaged and a totally different perspective. And throwing that thing over your shoulder or having it in your backpack and then having your A cam, it just opens it up to an unlimited, you know, new possibilities when it comes to, you know, filmmaking and stuff. So
yeah, and for me, like, I find I use it a lot of times where it's, you know, you're doing something and then you realize you need an edit point because you messed up something or whatever. You need some B-roll basically to cover an edit point. And it's great for that because you only need a few seconds. It doesn't have to be the highest quality, but you can basically get anything from anywhere that you've shot with a thing and make a shot out of it. And it's great.
And literally anywhere, like behind you, in front of you, like, you know, you could do your little tiny planet. You can zoom in to, you know, and again, that's the only the weakness of this camera. It's 5.7K in a 360 degree picture. Once you're zooming into, you know, 16:9 or something, that image quality is severely compromised. But as you saw, like that, that was 16:9, and for, you know, for quick scenes for social media, that's ample. You know, most stuff's compressed anyways, and it does give you the option to export in, you know, ProRes 422. So, you know, it's capable. I can't wait to see the next iteration. And a lot of people, I did hear some complaints of the X1 to the X2 wasn't a mind-blowing, you know, uptick in performance per se. There is a bump to the bit rate, which was kind of cool. 125 Mbps, which is kind of nice. That's pretty decent if you ask me. It's completely waterproof, and the battery life is insane, like 55% better. I went out for, like I said, shooting a couple of hours, and I got home and it was at like 73% or something. On and off here and there, and that's not solid recording, but it's pretty good.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing, like, because when I did my review of it, I took it out for the entire day and just shot with it, you know, on and off here and there, and just taking shots here, taking shots there. And I was trying to work with the spatial audio thing that they've got, which is what has me most excited about this camera, is the fact that it has spatial audio. So when you work with 360 video, it's great. If you have a headset and you're looking around, it's nice. But if the audio doesn't help immerse you in it, like if you turn your head and there's a stream over here and the stream doesn't kind of turn with you as you turn your head, it doesn't make sense to your brain, and it gets rid of a lot of the it kind of puts that screen door effect back in, where you know you're looking at something through a screen, not there in the spot. And it's one step closer to where I think 360 has to go to really catch on to be mainstream. I mean, I think honestly, like, they probably have to do 8K for a 360 video to be really great. But this is the first 360 camera that came out that I was like, okay, I can see myself using this a lot because it's waterproof, because it's great battery life, and the image quality, that little bit of bump in bitrate makes a difference. It's a lot better quality than the other 360 cameras they've come out with. And it does really well. It does really well in the really cold too, which is great.
Good to know. And it's so intuitive. Like, it requires, you could be literally the most technologically illiterate person, and you could pick it up and literally film in 5 seconds. Like, that little screen on the front is money, but ease of use for this thing, it's the perfect little, you know, C-cam, action cam that I didn't even know I needed. And I gotta thank Insta360 for sending it to me, because they sent it to me and said, check this thing out, do some videos, do some reviews, and it was perfect timing. And I just can't wait to get out and, you know, experiment, throw it on the drone, you know, just do whatever with it. It's a camera that it's so much fun. I didn't think it was going to be so much fun. And editing there's a bit of a learning curve there. I did find, because I hadn't really done anything in terms of editing. I didn't really kind of comprehend how you even edit it. There's a bit of a learning curve, and you might need a decent editing rig if you don't want to use the app. But that's another nice thing. If you want to just use the app is probably easier to use and edit than their own program for Windows or for Apple or whatever, which is really cool. So yeah. absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I found the app is really easy and really intuitive to use, which is it does make it easy. I mean, if you want the highest quality, you have to use the
Yeah.
desktop app or the desktop studio. But for being able to do the quick shots like you were saying and put something together for social media, the whole climbing trip I did yesterday, I gave all the footage to a friend and he took it in the app in his phone, edited together a 10-minute video just using the phone and all the 360 footage, and like it looks great.
Nice.
It turned out great. It works.
Absolutely. That's
Um,
it.
and it was his first time, so he's like, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's pretty intuitive if he can just sit down and figure it all out within 20, 30
Yeah.
minutes and then start putting together and edit a whole 10-minute video just using the 360 camera footage.
Not bad. Not bad at all. And I haven't really messed with the audio, but I know you can connect to Bluetooth or whatever, and actually even record from like your Galaxy, buds or your Apple buds or whatever. And I was kind of curious about
Yeah.
that, because if that's the case, that's really close to getting some really decent, external audio, and a
Yeah.
bump in resolution, like you said, up to maybe 8K, maybe a bit better sensor for low light, and if we get some decent wireless audio like the Pocket 2, they're laughing. That's a GoPro killer right there, if you ask me. So I should say it's not. This isn't a sponsored video or anything. They're not paying me to say any of this stuff, and I can say whatever I want about it as usual. Full disclosure.
Yeah, I agree with you though. Like I got the GoPro Hero 9 here. It's not a bad camera. It's big. It's a little heavy. I mean, it's not bad for an action camera and stuff. It's got good image quality and stuff. But I it used to be that there was like, I don't know, 30, maybe 40% difference in the image quality, like in the artifact control of somebody versus GoPro. GoPro's always had really stellar image quality for an action camera. Let's qualify that for an action camera. But at the pace that other companies like DJI or Insta360 are catching up, if GoPro doesn't innovate and come up with something that's pretty groundbreaking again soon, they're going to start having problems.
Yeah. For what you get, you look at, they're not cheap anymore. And they've got this subscription service thing, and I didn't like that whole model at all. I have a GoPro 7 Black, and honestly, it sits somewhere around here. If I need a very specific shot in a corner or in a bag of chips or something where I don't care, I'll use it. But I find myself using it less and less. And now with the Pocket 2, loving that thing, and now this guy, I don't see that thing coming out like at all. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
They need to change up the game. They got to, I think they need to improve their low light performance. Like they need to have a better sensor. They need to go with like a 1-inch sensor or something. They need to do something drastic for their next one because, I don't know. There's a lot of options out there in DJI, and like you said, Insta360. They're just there's a lot of competition out there.
Yep. There is, and that's the thing that I think that's where action cameras at least have to go next. Is they're going to have to start doing better low light. I mean, because even phones are really starting to get good at low light, which is crazy because there's tiny sensors, but what they're able to do with computational photography and computational imaging is almost scary. Like, I still don't think that phones are going to replace a camera with an interchangeable lens, a mirrorless camera, or full frame sensors and stuff.
Not for a while.
It's a different tool for a different reason. But man, for having a thing in your pocket that captures great video, great audio, great photos at almost any conditions now it's pretty much there. And other than I think that basically then GoPro just becomes a crash camera. You want to put it on something that you're going to throw off the side of a cliff and get footage of that, or strap it to yourself on a bike. That's really the only thing that GoPro is going to be used for anymore.
Disposable.
Yeah.
And at that price, is that, can you justify that? So
no, not at like, what are they, $400-$500
or $499 or something?
yeah, and that's too much for a crash
It
camera.
is. It is. Now I agree with you. The Mavic Mini 2, like I said, that's my go-to. That thing's phenomenal. I gotta say, for people just getting into it, and ease of use, and you could literally put it in your pocket, and the controller is a little bit bigger now, but the is this from the Mini 2?
Yeah.
So that's pretty darn
this,
good for
like,
a little tiny sensor. Let me put you on here.
Right. And so like that's the super wide, where it stitches like I think 9 photos
Oh,
together.
cool.
Um, and that's just a straight on photo. But if you look at like there's a ton of contrast in that, and there's some really hard edges, and it does a good job for a tiny sensor. Just yeah,
You really can't
it
complain
really
for the
no.
size, and for what this thing is and the cost. It's really hard to beat, and I don't think you know better than me. But what else is there anything else that competes with that under 250 grams?
No. And that's the thing, and that's a huge point that most people don't realize, especially for you in Canada, because the Civil Aviation Authority there has put such strict rules in place. And I think it was last week the FAA, which is our regulating body for airspace here in the U.S., came out with their new rules. And while their new rules are not as bad as most of us had feared they were going to be, they're still quite a bit more restrictive on what you can and can't do with drones, and what kind of drones can operate where. The under 250 grams is going to be the market if you don't want to have to deal with a lot more regulation, because that's kind of the cutoff that most governing bodies have gone like, yeah, under this it doesn't matter so much. I mean, you still have to fly legally and not do something stupid, but yeah. And then I mean, for me, because I'm out backpacking, kayaking in small planes, traveling so much, and I'm pretty much carrying everything with me on my back all the time. Having a drone that is that capable at that price, that I literally takes up the space of one camera body in my bag, is with 3 extra batteries, and I get almost an hour and 20 minutes of flight time out of 3 batteries, which is insane.
It's too much almost.
It is. I mean, if I like,
you'll freeze
I
in
don't
that
need
time.
more than 3 batteries. Is crazy. 2 batteries is plenty for most of the things I want to do, unless I'm going for like 2 days.
Yeah.
But even at then, you can just take a USB power bank and recharge it over USB-C, which is
I love that charger.
fantastic.
That charger is gold. I recharge everything with it. The Insta360,
Oh, yeah.
your Pocket 2, like it's everything. Your phone. It's a really good setup that they got. I'll show you. Actually, I put together a couple of little clips that I got with the Mini 2. Where are we here? So
I've got some of my clips from the YouTube here. I can play them.
So this was I didn't even recognize this. I was just flying this thing, actually testing the range, which is phenomenal. Way more than you could ever need. And look at this. Look at what I came in contact with. This is a lot of birds are starting to migrate. I love birds, by the way, obviously. I'm a huge bird guy. And look at this. Look what this thing can pick up. And this is with an ND filter and proper exposure and everything, mind you. But nice colors, you get pretty darn good detail. Like you saw, the dynamic range is pretty good. Look at this. Where can you go? What can you do this with? And people are saying, it's a toy. But honestly, compared to, your Mavic 2, your Mavic 2 Pro and stuff like that, can you really tell the difference in most situations?
No, and definitely not once you post it on social media on YouTube, because it gets so compressed anyway.
Exactly.
It's so negligible at that point.
There is a difference between the 2.7K and the 4K upgrade. I did find big time.
Yeah.
That is really nice, but it's just so cool to get out there, and the confidence. That's the big thing for me, is the range and the confidence. Flying over water, like this is probably 500 meters, 600 meters away, and there's no way I would have attempted this with the Mini 1. No chance.
Yeah.
And these are the snow geese that were their last couple days here. And I think this is actually day 1 of this thing. This was kind of freaked me out here. I had a pretty close encounter. Well, here's a couple of the quick shots. Again, you gotta love those. Super great B-roll, easy to use, And here you go. So look at I was kind of just about to lose my mind at that point because there's a lot of birds and I'm just like, okay, we'll just kind of hold it still here. And I think they know what's going on for the most part, but that was a bit scary, that one. It's incredible how they can their communication and their intuition. But these are big birds. These things, these snow geese, these are 30 times more than this drone weighs.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
right?
they're not a small bird.
No. But just so cool to be able to, fly and, not have to worry about, if you did see something cool and you had it in your truck or whatever, and you never know. And because it's under 250 grams, I don't stress like I did with some of the bigger drones of, if somebody did come or if you got reported or whatever, it's less stress that you have to worry about.
Yeah,
so,
and I think because it's so small, people aren't as freaked out by it either. It's also pretty quiet, which is nice. But I know for here, I get most of the, what do you say, suspicious eyes, suspicious looks when I'm setting up a larger drone.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Too, I think people just assume it's a toy. And
absolutely.
Who cares?
And it's significantly quieter.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's some of the pics that I threw on there. Doing some tests. Again, I do find it will blow out the highlights, so you got to be kind of careful of that. Pretty easy, but you can do bracketed shots. It's only 0.7 EV brackets, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You can still get some pretty decent results. So I just like to be able to get up there and see some new perspectives and stuff. Like drone photography. I'm loving. And I took it out. I did a low light test like this at night. I was actually pretty surprised how it did.
Yeah, actually, I was too. I took it inside of an ice cave, and it did better. And what really struck me actually was the transition. Because I just had it set on auto ISO, so it would have as smooth a transition before as it could get, going from really dark to really bright out in the snow. And the transition was incredibly smooth. Like I remember before, you would kind of see the steps when it would start bumping ISO down or up. You would see it kind of ratchet between the ISO levels, and like this is it here. I think it was really astounding how well it transitioned between really dark, because way down inside that ice cave, it's dim. Yeah. It's hard to see, and then you go out into a nothing but snow where it's really blindingly white, and it transitions really well. Just yeah. The fact, and then that's my FPV drone. It's a little different, but yeah, it astounded me. For such a small drone, it's so stable and capable, and it's handled. I've put it in some pretty high winds. And some pretty cold temperatures, and it's done really well, which is impressive because it's tiny. And yeah, anytime people hold it, they're like, oh my gosh, it is way smaller and way lighter than I thought it would be. And then you see what it can actually produce. Yeah. It's a great tool.
It is a great tool. So let's do top 5 favorite gear of 2020. What's your 5 favorite pickups or stuff that you're just think is the best? What did you pick up?
All right, so I picked up the A7S3, and that's definitely my number one. That is made filming out in, especially because I only have 4 hours of sunlight right now. It's basically all golden hour because the sun stays super low in the horizon. So filming out at night, after the sun has gone down, it makes it really easy for that, because it just gives me such good clean images like this here. If you can see, that's at 80,000 ISO, and the only light is the light coming off the screen facing me there.
Wow.
So that has made it great for me. So does the gear have to have come out in 2020, or can it have come out at other times?
Your pickups, whatever you want.
All right. So then my other favorite, I think, is um the I picked up the Sony 24 1.4 G Master
Mm.
lens, and like that's what that low light was being filmed with, and that is what's filming me now. Um, it's a that is a fantastic
Outstanding.
lens. The image quality is outstanding, and especially it for Astro, it's incredible how good and how sharp and clean, um, how well controlled it is. It's an outstanding lens. I really hope that Sony can do something similar with a 16 millimeter that is rumored to be releasing sometime
Yeah.
next year.
So what made you choose the
So
24
that
over the 20?
purely because I could go down to 1.4,
Really?
because I have it set that this winter I have set my mind to going out and filming the aurora in real time. Most of the time you just see time lapses of it because it's easier to
Yeah.
capture, but I am going to go out and film it, and so I wanted to get the best low light performance lens camera combo I could, so that's why I picked the 24 or 1.4.
Fair enough.
um that and it's just, man, it's a
It
killer
really
lens.
is.
So definitely, I think the DJI Mini 2 would be my second. A lot of other drones I love, but it's just so small and convenient, easy to have with me all the time. I don't have to choose between, well, do I want to take that lens or do I want to take a
Mm-hmm.
drone? They can both sit in there. I think of what else is in my. Even though I don't own it, the Tamron 28 to 200 is I really like that lens. I've considered picking it up just because it's a lens you can have on your camera and basically shoot everything.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? What else do I have in my bag? I do like the Insta360 X2. That's a great B-roll camera. I've found myself playing with it a lot, even with the extra step of editing through an app or editing through a studio desktop app. It's really fun.
Totally
The
worth it.
stuff you can do with it, the shots you can do, the creativity that's there is incredible. I think, let's see, from an audio standpoint, probably my favorite thing is still the Rode Wireless Go.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had the chance to try the new wireless system from Hollyland, which is, I think, great.
Yeah.
From everything I've heard. I want to try it out.
I got it right here. I was actually going to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, there's positives and negatives. Where's my other one? Here's the Rode, and I can't remember where I put the other side. Oh, it's actually on my camera here. Here it is. So, let's take that off. There's pluses and minuses, but I think the pluses totally outweigh the minuses. There's your setup. You throw that in your bag, your pocket, whatever. Now, that looks like it's a little bit bigger, right? But depending on your job, you do a lot of commercial work. You open this thing up, it's a battery bank in itself. You take these things out magnetically, they automatically connect to the receiver. There's two receivers, one transmitter. Here's the transmitter. It also comes with two lav mics. You pop it in there, you've got your dead cats and stuff that aren't coming out. They thought this thing through, and it is a phenomenal audio pickup. I'm so stoked for this thing. This is on my list for sure. But you gotta try this thing. You gotta check it out. Definitely. But Rode Wireless Go, honestly, for convenience and for speed and stuff, like, it's great. It produces great results, and it's easy. You know what I mean? That's my go-to, honestly, on a lot of these videos for the longest time. For the last year, it was everything you hear on the channel is from pretty much that Rode Wireless Go. So
yeah,
is that your main go-to when you're out and about?
Well, for when I'm out and about, I actually use a DD-D3 Pro, which is a little on-camera shotgun microphone with a big, huge wind muff on it, because it gets me the best results for the most things. If I'm going into some really harsh weather, really hard stuff, then I'll do the Rode Wireless Go, and I'll just tuck it inside and have the mic like taped to the inside of my shirt, and that protects it from the wind and the weather. But yeah, between those two things, that's been my audio setup for the last, since the Rode Wireless Go came out. That's been the way to go. Just because, and that's one thing, the fact that we have these options as creators that are so small, compact, but really reliable and apparently pretty durable,
Yeah.
has made it really nice. Like I come from the back, like we had wireless packs that were like this big, you know, and they weighed a pound. They were
Yeah.
huge. And now we're down to the fact that it's like, oh yeah, I got my whole wireless system in this
Yeah.
tiny little bag here, and it's good to go.
I'm gonna do a little series on minimalist like creator videos, and honestly, like I'm more and more attracted to more is less is more. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everything that I have a bag, I have kind of a rule, and I did a few videos on this. This is my bag, my day bag, and you know, unless you're doing paid work or whatever, everything that I want for the day in every situation must fit in this bag, and it's ridiculous. Like the thing maxes out at probably 10 pounds worth of gear. I got my drone in there and stuff like that. Fantastic, but we're getting things that are so small and so capable. It's insane, and it's really good results. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Tell me
Yeah.
more. Finish your
And
list.
that's what I've kind of done the same thing where I've limited myself in bag size, because I do have a large bag that I take with me for, like, you know, multiple day trips or a bigger commercial shoot or something. But for anything I do for YouTube and stuff, I've limited myself to a certain size, which just looks about the same size as yours, because otherwise I will take more stuff. And so I'm kind of like, you know, I can take a camera, I can take a lens on the camera, and one more lens. That I shouldn't need more than that realistically. And then the drone, the microphone I need, and you know, probably a couple little lights or something like that, depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing. And I found it to be freeing to have less to think about gear wise, and to be able to just focus more on filming or shooting the stuff that I want to film and shoot.
Totally.
Yeah, it's been a fun experiment this last summer that I kind of really started going down that path, and it's been nice. It also took a lot of pounds out of my backpack.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's just so much easier and nice to go out and create, film, have fun. I totally neglected the chat, like 100%. I'm like the worst streamer ever. Sorry, guys. It looks like their sound is not great. That's probably par for the course for today, given the the absolute zoo that we had to go through to get here. So apologize for that, guys. Hopefully that fixed it up a bit. I turned that down, and yeah, from the get-go, we were super late for the stream, and I don't know, one thing after another, absolute mess. But yeah, drop your comments and your questions, and let's answer some of those as well. And Jake, also finish your list, and then we'll get to Jason's question.
All right. So how many did I get? 3? Did I get? I think I got to 3. The other, let's see, the X2, the DJI, the Sony, the G Master. I guess I did 4. The other thing for me was even though I don't use it very often, the DJI RSC2 gimbal. I mean, I don't use it at all for YouTube stuff or my stuff that I produce, but I do use it every time I'm on a client shoot.
Yeah.
It is a really solid gimbal with a lot of great features that you can use to really just get really good, really smooth footage. And before that, I was using the Zhiyun Weeble S, which is also a fantastic gimbal.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ronin SC is just a little bit more refined, and I mean, obviously it's a lot newer too.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to run through, like I was up in a city 800 miles north of here. I'd fly up for a day to do some filming for a client, and I literally was running through a warehouse, a big manufacturing warehouse, where like there's metal sparks flying from grinders, there's plasma arcs going from a big plasma cutter thing with this gimbal, and I go back and look at the footage, and it's like on a cable cam. It just this perfect smooth shot all the way through all this stuff going on. And
beautiful.
I don't think I could have done that with any other gimbal, so I think that's my other favorite. Even though I don't use it that often, I don't use it for YouTube at all, but I do use it for client shoots. It's a fantastic rock solid piece of gear that it is great that way.
They are great. I find them so burdening. It kills my back, and I will avoid it at all costs, to be honest. But that's why I'm happy that stabilization is just getting so good. And you have a lot more experience than the A7S III. How much better is the IS, say, than the A7 III, which is mediocre at best?
The active stabilization, which you do lose, it crops in 10% on the A7S III, is much better. I do, and that's why I stopped taking gimbals. Really, I was like, okay, from now on, I can just handhold the camera and get really usable footage.
Are we talking like GH5?
If you don't mind the extra step, turning the stabilization off and then going in post and using the gyro stabilized stuff with the Catalyst Browse software is incredible. I mean, it's approaching it's getting close to GoPro level or Insta360 level of stabilization, but you're talking like full frame camera in the dark. It just doesn't matter. It's because it's all gyro data that it's using to stabilize everything.
But you got to turn your image
really
stabilization off and crank your shutter speed, right?
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
And basically that seems to be what you have to do. If you turn the image stabilization off, it still records the gyro data, and then you say you're filming at 24 frames a second, so you want your shutter speed normally to be 50 frames a second. But if you're going to do the stabilization in post, you actually want to hit more about 100 frames 100 frames a second for your shutter speed. And that gives the gyro and the Catalyst Browse software enough more information to do a really good job of stabilizing stuff.
That's good to see, and I can't wait to see this active stabilization in everything moving forward. I think that is probably one of Sony's weak points, and there's not many.
Yeah.
The IBIS in the A7 III is welcomed, but it's just not anything special. It's it's minimal.
Yeah.
But it's better than nothing. That's for darn sure.
Oh man, 100%.
Cool. So that's a pretty darn good list, and I gotta say, as far as my stuff, I've been so blessed to be able to, we really have a pretty darn awesome job to be able to review and get our hands on all this stuff. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Everybody, all these companies that you get to partner with and stuff, it's amazing. For me, quickly going down the list, you know what? I gotta say, the smashing gear, the Peak Design tripod, I could not wrap my head around it when it first came out just because of the price. I picked up the aluminum version, and I freaking love this thing. It fits in my my drink holder in my little bag. It's deceivingly heavy, for what it is. I couldn't bring myself to get the carbon fiber model. Call me cheap, but I'm not spending another $250 on half a pound or something. But it's stable, like it's thought out, it's solid, it's a fantastic little thing. And my other one, I don't know if you know, it's the Vanguard Ultra Pro 164 AB or whatever. Super versatile, and that's what I use to film everything in the studio and stuff. Or the one thing I don't care for in terms of the Peak Design is that it doesn't go overly high. It does cap out at kind of eye level. For me, I want to shoot some things when I'm doing tests and whatnot at an eye level, and this thing does just that. And the size difference, it might not actually look substantial because obviously I got that thing up there, but it's going to go to here. Got the slider on there, but that's ridiculous.
Yep.
That's absolutely ridiculous. And to think I was toting that thing around, and as a photographer, a good tripod is an absolute must. It's non-negotiable, especially if if you're doing any kind of the stuff that you're shooting. So this is I'm loving this thing, and I had a hard time with it at first just because of the price, but they've done such a good job. And I don't know why I was surprised, because Peak Design, everything, I've got all the quick release stuff, the Arca Swiss, and it's just, they've done such a great job. Number two, I gotta say, this Holyland, this Lark 150 wireless complete system, is a phenomenal value. My full review is going to come on that pretty quick here, but if you want something a little bit more and you want to have all your bases covered, that like for you, you need to have this. You need to have this. So other than that, this guy, the Insta360 X2, X1, 2, X2, X1, 2, whatever it is, the new one. This thing is freaking so much fun, and I cannot wait to bring some epic content to YouTube and to social media, and just for my own fun stuff. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go out. So far, can't really do much still. I'm gonna go out, do some, rip around, some 4x4ing. I think that'll be kind of cool. Maybe go out to the bush, shoot some guns, and do some hikes, and try and get some action shots in that regard. Stuff that you can do away from people still, but still have fun. And I'm gonna throw it on a drone. I want to see. We've got some 360 drones coming out. They have an iteration of that. I was wondering if you actually knew anything about that, or if you've got your hands on that thing. I think it's the R1. Is it the R1, the modular one, but drone?
Yeah, I've not gotten my hands on it at all yet. I would like to. I don't know if I'll get the chance to anytime soon, but
it looks cool though, right? And it's like a 2-in-1 thing, and I don't think it's that expensive if you already own the R, and it's a 1-inch sensor. You can throw your 1-inch sensor version in, so you're gonna get some pretty darn good footage out of that. So I'd love to do that, but I'm loving this thing. I would love to make a drone that you just slide that into, right? A little thin drone, and like, oh my God, how awesome would that be?
Right? And just fly a 360 camera around, and you can't see anything around it but just the scenery or whatever you're flying around. No drone, no stick, nothing. It'd be amazing.
Throw this thing on a 10-foot pole or whatever, and you can fake some drone shots, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and, like I said, between the Mini, the Pocket 2, and this thing, like right there, that's a solid little minimalist setup right there that can produce some insane results, and I can fit all of it in one pocket if I really needed to. So it's what a time to be alive. You know what I mean? And I can just imagine what's coming in the next couple years. It's unfathomable. I don't know how they do it, but 2. So that's 2.
True.
The 360, that's 3. My gear. I'm so spoiled with lenses. Like I get to review and I get my hands on so many lenses. Like there's so many good lenses right now. Like I said, Tamron, killing it, absolutely killing it. So it's hard not to recommend some a lot of stuff right now. But as far as what's in my bag, it's not new, but my Sony 100-400 G Master, like, I love it. It's literally the beast. It's the perfect outdoor lens for pretty much everything, and I that's always dear to my heart. And number 5, I don't really know what else I would what I'm thinking for gear. Like my A7 III, I guess. It's still to this day, years later, like holding up like a beast, and stood the test of time, completely capable. Literally, last year, 18,000 subscribers on YouTube, just blowing up like crazy. This community is amazing, and literally this camera like changed everything for me. I don't know if I told you, I made the Team Canada for the World Photographic Cup this year, which I'm really excited about, in April. So we're going to compete against all the countries. It's in Rome, but it looks like we're not probably going to be able to get to Rome. But, this camera, people are asking, should you still consider this camera? This camera is freaking amazing. And for what, $1,500 that you can pick it up for these days, or $1,700? Absolutely no brainer. No hesitation. Should I wait for the A7 IV?
Yeah.
Should I buy, let's settle this right now. Should I buy the A7 III or the A7R4 or 3? If you have to ask the question, you don't need a high resolution camera. Get the A7 III. You'll be so happy you did. The low light performance, it really is like, it's hard to improve upon, near perfection. You know what I mean? And to
Yeah.
still be competing and, you know, killing it against what's coming out is just insane. So yeah, I would say that's my other piece of gear. Like tried and tested, love it.
Yep.
I
agree.
And yeah, I might as well show. I got a couple pictures here. We should probably wrap up pretty quick, seeing as we've been at this for like 7 hours. Here's a couple,
and only 3 of that was troubleshooting audio.
Exactly.
Issues.
Here's some of the photos that I took this year. How do I get this out of here? And these are some of my favorite photos, and like I would say 99% of them are taken with the A7 III. And again, that's who I am primarily as a photographer at heart. You know, I'm getting more and more into video, and I love it, but photography is my passion. And yeah, so hopefully this comes up here. Here's some pictures from 2020. Some of them have actually won awards. Some of them are just for me. But yeah, let me know. And again, always, guys, join the community. Hit the like and subscribe button. Join the group. And I want to see your stuff. It's great to, just motivate each other. This one I just took with the 200 to 600 Sony, which is kind of cool. And I love everything. I love everything to do with photography. It's, every genre. I'm shooting lots of macro lately. I find myself always landscape, birds, wildlife. Probably my least favorite is, I got to say, probably portraits. Shooting people because they're just so difficult. And, nature never lets you down.
Really difficult to get a good natural looking portrait. Like it's hard to get. For me, it's hard to get people to interact with people in a way that gets them to relax and be natural and look natural in a portrait. Like I always feel like they look, tight, nervous, and
yeah. And you can work with professional models and stuff, but that's a certain type, and that's the beauty of photography is that there's something for everybody. And I it's so important to just do your own thing. I think that's a big thing. Is I always say be yourself and don't compare yourself to other people. You know what I mean? Do your own thing. Focus on what you want, and that's just what it's all about. It's about like you said, the gear. There's so much amazing gear. We love to talk the gear, but you don't need the biggest and the best. You just don't. 5-year-old camera is going to be totally capable, and in the right hands, like you said, a smartphone can produce professional images. So,
yep,
yeah. So what a year it was, eh? Lots of good.
What a crazy year!
It was a crazy year, and I'm so happy that it's over. And is anything going to change? I don't know. It's mindset, it's positivity, and it's creativity. But
Yep.
Forward, onward, upwards. That's all we can do. Anything else to add? Anything you want to touch on?
No. Well, yeah. I think. I mean, for me, like looking forward, I'm really excited to see what comes out in 2021. I think the potential for some of the cameras that are on the horizon is really fantastic. The A7 III has been such an incredible camera for 2.5 years now, almost 3 years. If they can top it and keep everything that's great about the A7 III and then add some of the great new stuff they've been developing with autofocus and stuff like that in the A7 IV, it's going to be a phenomenal camera. And I'm really excited to see some of the lenses that come out. I'm hoping Tamron develops something similar to 100 to 400 or a 200 to 600s range for a good super telephoto lens would be great. I guess we'll see. And I really hope Sony comes out with a 16 1.8 Grandmaster G-Master lens. I would be in heaven.
Yeah, I think they're probably both on the horizon. The A7 IV is coming. But like the A7 III, there was a big gap. They want to get it right. And that A7S III bought them some time, Without that,
for sure,
they people would be jumping ship. But now, I think they bought a little bit of time. So what can they do to,
Yep.
you know, take that, make it hybrid, one up it, and win again? Only time will tell. But it's going to be, you know, rough year for production, getting stuff back going, and, you know, keeping everybody safe and healthy and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah. Anyways, guys, so sorry about neglecting the chat and all that stuff. This is this day, you know, the technical garbage that we went through to even get to this point was ridiculous. So I totally apologize for that. I want to say thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic year. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out Jake Sloan's channel. He's amazing. Tons of amazing drone stuff, Alaska adventures, gear reviews, commercial projects, all that kind of stuff. Maybe throw your link down in the comments there. I'll throw it in the description. Check that out. And yeah, awesome. Let's leave it at that. So sorry guys again for the chat. We'll make another one soon when we get all this stuff ironed out. I just upgraded all the whole new computer and stuff, and it's just been a total nightmare to get everything kind of going. So let's wrap it up. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining us for the stream. I hope you had fun, and like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See ya, Jake. You're awesome. Take care, guys.
See you, Stefan.